So, Bookcon, let's discuss. I went on Saturday. I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I drove down to New Haven, Connecticut. I hopped on the Metro North to Grand Central. And then I lugged my suitcase of books and swag all the way from 42nd and Lexington to 34th and 11th. I grew up in New York. Sometimes you really forget how long those avenues are lugging a suitcase. Anyway, it was a beautiful day. I'm a lousy picture taker, so you probably won't see any pictures from me. But if you want to, just click in on any of the hashtags that say Bookcon line, and you'll see the line to get in. Now, that was amazing. When I saw this 20,000, 30,000 plus people waiting to get in, my little author heart just swelled with joy. And then I got in. So I always like to start with the bad stuff because I think the good stuff deserves more of a back end, better telling of things. So let me start with the back stuff. Number one, the lines for ARCs. I was on the third floor with all of the publishers because I was at the RWA booth, and I don't know why they put us there. We're not a publishing group, but that's where they put us. Next to me was an independent publisher who I guess publishes romantasy, monster porn, all sorts of different things. Every hour on the hour, they did a book giveaway, an ARC giveaway from a signed author who was sitting there signing the ARCs. So here's my table, here's their booth, and here's the line to get to the ARCs right in front of our booth. You could not see anything on our table. You couldn't see my books. You couldn't see my table mates' books. You couldn't see anything. You couldn't see over the sea of people. And there was no way to redirect the line because 15 feet in front of us, in front of that line, was another line of booksellers and stuff. So there was constantly lines in front of our table. You couldn't see our books. I sold 2 books the entire time I was there, which I'll explain in a minute why that's a bad thing. Number 2, food prices. I don't eat in venues because I have so many allergies, so I usually bring food and water and drinks with me. So let me just tell you, a soda, $6. You can invent for yourself, imagine for yourself, the cost of the rest of the food. Now, Indie Alley was in the basement. So all the independent authors were there. Where they were going to have the big traditional authors signing later that day was down there. I believe the Ripped Bodice was down there. Barnes & Noble was down there. There was Love Struck's out. There were a whole bunch of booksellers down there, which was nice. It was really spread out. Indie Alley was really spread out. Unfortunately, there was no signage to get down there. If you didn't have the app on your phone, you didn't know where to find all these authors. I happened to have a few minutes before I started, so I went down there and I was visiting all the authors. And, they paid a lot of money for those tables. I'm thinking like upwards of like a couple of grand, maybe more. They needed to make some book sales, but there was nobody directing them down there, which leads me to number 4, lack of signage. My RWA table was number 559 on the third floor. The way that the Javits Center has the postings done is they hang signs from the ceiling that say 100, 200, 300, and then you're supposed to go to those aisles and find your booth. My booth had a little teeny tiny sign that said 559. You couldn't see it. You couldn't see it if you were just walking around, and you certainly couldn't see it with the sea of people in front of me waiting to get free ARCs. Now, back to the line snaking in front of me and why I only sold 2 books. I believe one of them was a pity sale too, but that's beside the fact. It cost me $16 to park for the day in Union Station, which is great. It cost me $26, $13 each way for a Metro North card because I'm a senior citizen, so I got a break. So that's 26 and 16. Cost me $42 for the day, plus my gas money to get down there, which I never factor in, plus my time, which was all day. I left my house at 4 o'clock in the morning. I got home at 9 that night. And I made $30 in sales. So that didn't cover it. Then you have to factor out the cost of what I paid for the books. Yeah, it didn't even come close. Now, the good stuff. Romance Writers of America is the greatest organization I have ever been associated with in my life. The writers, the administrators, everybody that's affiliated with them are not only supportive and caring, they're smart, they're intuitive, they're very business savvy. If you are a romance writer, I really recommend you become part of the Romance Writers of America. Number 2, the readers, the lines of thousands and thousands of readers. I see you. I love you. I adore you. I wanted you to come to my table, but unfortunately you didn't. But it did my heart so good to see so many So many readers. Now, I understand they haven't done a Bookcon in 6 years, so this was like building up. And I've been watching many, many TikToks of people who had never been to a Bookcon before, so they didn't know what to expect. Well, if they ever do it again, just know lines, 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 lines. Get there early, bring your own food and water, and plan out where you want to go, and definitely get the app so you know what the heck is going on. But the bad stuff was the publishers and the ARCs. They should have put all the publishers just on one floor by themselves and left everything else, all the other booths, the vendors, everything else to the different floors. There are 5 floors in the Javits Center, plus the basement. We could have had so much more room to spread out. Anyway, so I always like to do a takeaway whenever I do something like this. So, will I go again if given the opportunity? Yes. I wish I would be a bigger name. Am I glad I went? Yes. Did I learn a few things? Yes, especially that people like to come for the freebies more than anything. Now, will I go again if given the opportunity? It's a hard one. If somebody sponsors me like RWA does, yes, I will go. If one of my traditional publishers wants to sponsor me, yes, I will go again. But I can't afford to buy my own indie table. Now, sign-ups begin, I think, for 2027 in June. I'm going to try to sign up to be an indie author and see what the price is. Maybe I'll do it if I can do it then, but to go back the way I did this time for 2 hours, sell 2 books, waste, 24 hours. I shouldn't say waste because it was a nice day. I met some nice people going down on the train who were so excited to be going to their first Bookcon. I love that. I love the reader portion of it. I just wish I could have seen more readers.